Welcome to Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. Now let's join our host, Tom Shorkey.
Welcome to Conversations. I'm your host for today's program, Tom Shorkey. With us today is a new business in St. Clair. It's outstanding. And you would think a community with 4 or 5 dining establishments in the St. Clair Mall, the new St. Clair Inn looming on the riverside, the 4 or 5 establishments on that little strip of Clinton Street that, gee, does St. Clair need another place to eat? Well, take it from me. We do, and this may be the spot for a lot of reasons you're going to hear today why you may want to put this on your itinerary as you wander the Blue Water area. With me today is one of the 2 co-owners of the Anchor Point Bistro, Mark Stevens. Mark, glad to have you here.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Before we even start, you better identify your other co-owner.
That's my wife, Kim Stevens. She's the heart and soul of the place, so.
Now, the 2 of you will just do a little bit of a background, because if you go on the webpage for the Anchor Point Bistro, you'll find out that you were a couple of Navy veterans. You put in 21 years, and for whatever reason, you thought you might want to go into the food business. Give us a little background on why food.
Okay, well, we were both vets, and I think we were in Norfolk, and we spent a lot of time eating. We were overseas, about 40 different countries, and we did a lot of food tasting over there and different unique things. And I think when we got back in the area, it was just one of the passions that we both had together. And I kind of grew up before I went in the military doing a lot of things in the food industry. Kim is extremely creative, and we thought if we put those skills together, then we probably could come up with something that's decent. So we tried to create a menu, which I think we did fairly well at, of foods that we would eat, that we think quality-wise and all that stuff would be a good mix. Something unique and different that people can come and try. And I have to say, it's been a challenge, but at the same time, a blessing every day. We have a great time.
Well, we're going to expand on that a little bit about some of the things that you do as far as the natural, your daily things that food that you do there, and then some of your eco-friendly things that are involved with the Anchor Point. But cover a couple bases first. You guys have been all over the world with your career, and you spent the last part of your career in Norfolk. How did you pick St. Clair? Did you throw a dart at the map, or how did you end up here?
Right. I think, well, Michigan's home for both of us. I'm more of the Walled Lake, Union Lake, West Bloomfield area growing up, then went in the military, obviously. Kim was born and raised in the Fort Gratiot area, just north of Port Huron, but her entire dad's side, father's side, is from St. Clair. So when we moved back up here in 2012, finally got back home, we moved around probably for the first 2 years and kind of did some placement of what we liked. Obviously, family brought us this way, and we hung out here a little bit, and we spent more and more time in St. Clair. And you know, you've got the water, which is in the Navy, that's the blood, and we love it. The scenery, the smaller community, just everything about the town itself was a fit. So we said if we're going to drop anchor anywhere, we picked St. Clair.
And is that the genesis of the name of the bistro?
Yeah, it took a little bit of time to put that name together, the Anchor Point Bistro. And we used the word "the" in front of it because it gives us the opportunity to go into tap, public house, Anchor Point. People call it by a bunch of different things, bistro. But when we came up with the name, we definitely wanted nautical. And so the Anchor Point for us is, and if you're in a ship and you're doing charts, there's an anchor point that you shoot for. Yeah. So it made sense for us that's a fitting name for what we're doing. So.
I think it sounds like a great name. What if people have not been in your establishment yet? When they walk in, they're hit by the decor, the way that your bistro is set up. Who's responsible for the design in there?
Yeah, that's Kim. She's got some talents in there, and her interior design and the thought process for us when we said we were going to try to do the nautical and European theme just because we love that area over there in Europe and just the decor and the relaxation part of it. She hit a home run. I mean, we were, if you saw the place a month before we were open, we were like, we got to move. But then it just came together really well at the end. And I think we've got some pretty high-end compliments that just from people saying that they feel like they've walked into another country when they get into the bistro, which means like we did exactly what we wanted to do.
Great.
So she did a great job.
Now, I'm not sure, but I thought you mentioned that when you relocated back to this area, did you go up and participate at the Culinary Institute up in Port Huron?
I did.
Tell me about that.
Well, I had some free time, retired obviously, and I love food and I love cooking. And at that time I had the opportunity to go up there, so I got a hold of Chef Tom Racina and Chef Paula, and I got enrolled. So I was able to take, I didn't graduate as a chef, don't take me the wrong way. I did enough to where I could say experience to some degree, I've got a lot of that. But I was able to take, I think, a year's worth of courses over there just to fine-tune some things, pick up some things that I didn't know about when you get into allergens and things like that. It's a great school. We've actually got some employees from there. So, yeah, I did about a year over there. I had a good time doing it.
Well, and I think one of the things that you talk about for your bistro is the healthy aspect. There, you have a little different twist on the food and the presentations than maybe any other dining establishment in the county. Talk a little bit about this healthy angle.
Yeah, I think that nowadays it seems to be just something that is thrown out by a lot of people. Healthy, fresh, that kind of thing. And I hope that's where they're going with it. But for us, it is part of our passion. We think it's unique in 100% of the way that what we present and what people get and what they're paying for their food, it needs to be at that level. So for us, we buy from the same vendors as everybody else. We do get all of our produce about 2 or 3 times a week from the market down in Detroit, which we thought was important. We buy a lot of local things from the community around here. But we do use the same vendors, the Cisco's, the US Foods, the Gordon's. And what a lot of people don't understand, which for us was a passion, that you can buy, and we'll just say A, B, C, D quality stuff. A lot of restaurants are on the A, B side of the house, and that's just the price point that they want to be at. And for us, however, food costs expense, and we know we're above what the percentage should be, we're pretty much D across the board. So, and we knew we wanted that for the quality of the food and the taste. That mixed with some unique equipment that we have in the bistro, along with all of our sauces and dips and all that stuff. They're handmade and made a certain way, all in-house. And then the way things are brought up and cooked. So when you put all that together, people can just tell. I mean, you can have something with us and then walk down the road and have something else, and they'll say, why is it so much better? And that's the reasons. I can't give it any other thing. There's a passion in there, it's a quality, it's the way it's made, it's the, ingredients.
We talked about if the Food Network showed up with their cameras sometime at Anchor Point, and I asked you, I said, what would you want them to film and taste? And you mentioned the steak tips, I think.
That is true.
Tell our listening audience what steak tips at the bistro is all about.
So the steak tips, for us, again, one of the quality things, it's filet mignon. We have our own in-house made teriyaki sauce. It's a lighter teriyaki sauce, so it's not an overwhelming kind of thing, but it's a wonderful little additive to the actual filet. We cut them to 1 and 1 ounce portions, and that's why we call them the tips. We got a great vegetable melody with cauliflower and potatoes and onions and tomatoes that Kim puts together on the side of the plate. We cook them medium rare, which we think, in my mind, that is the perfect temperament for a steak. You can get it adjusted to some degree, but I think most people, 99 of them, eat it the way they are. Cut them with a fork, and they're just delicious.
What else do you have on that menu that gets your... I have noticed some of the comments, and they say, this is the best blank I ever had. Like, what are a couple of things that you guys get the shout-outs for? Yeah,
it's funny you say that, because there's probably about 10 different items on the menu that we've heard that, what you just said, the best we've ever had. And in the business, there's no bigger compliment than somebody saying that's the best I've ever had. Now let's even talk about somebody that's in their 50s and 60s saying it, because they've been around, they've had a lot of different foods. The Philly, it's one of the ones that people say it on a regular basis. The quesadillas, the shrimp and bacon, the egg rolls, the Reuben itself, the corned beef cooked for 12 hours. It's just humbling, and the biggest compliment for us when somebody says those words specifically. I mean, I hear wonderful, great, everything excellent. We'll take that all day long.
Yeah.
But when somebody says that, it's pretty nice. I think we've did what we wanted to do. So.
Well, you two were thinking the food business, and you were thinking dining. How long from the time the two of you looked eye to eye and said, let's do this thing and open this restaurant? How long did it take to put the thing together between talking about it and opening the front door?
Yeah, I would say probably for the location we're in, I would say it took about a month to make the final decision to do it. We've been serving bistro food for a little over a year. In this location, we just hit the 6-month mark. I think the previous experience kind of made us think twice about maybe just retire and just enjoy some life. And then we really had a tremendous community following and outreach within the first couple days of the first bistro closing the doors. And it was overwhelming and, again, extremely humbling to us. And at that point, we were still thinking, it's a big commitment, and so I told Kim, who has this passion that you just can't stop, and I said, I need some things to fall into place. And they had to be 4 or 5 things that had to fall into place in a short period of time, and they just started falling into place. And shockingly to me, from financial support to location, all these things that just kind of fell there. Some of the key crew members we have that we're coming to you, we're available. And then when that happened as quickly as it did, I told her, I said, well, you got it, it's yours, let's go ahead and go through it, let's just do it. And it's been a fun process. It took us a couple more months than we expected to get the build out done, but again, we wanted it to be right. And the outside seating is going to open pretty soon, and that's going to be another 40 or 50 seats that gives us that opportunity.
That would be phenomenal. Yeah. For our audience at home, if you're wondering now, well, where could Anchor Point be? If you're standing by Palmer Park and you're looking at the courtyard at the mall, which is refurbished a year or two ago, and it's great. If you look north and west on the corner, and for people who've been around a long time, you could say that was Dancers. No, that was Pat Coughlin's jewelry store. No, that was 2 or 3 other businesses. It's right on that corner, on that northwest corner as you're facing the mall. So you get a lot of traffic in there.
We've got a beautiful location. There's no doubt about that. And the foot traffic, I think, overall is gone up tremendously in the plaza just from other retails and things like that have came in. They're doing a wonderful job. I think Mondays and Tuesdays over there were kind of a little slower, and I think we're seeing that those 2 days specifically. So 7 days a week, you can enjoy yourself over there with a bunch of different things to look at.
Okay, so for a guy that contemplated retirement, now he has a new bistro. Not only is it 7 days a week, but you start off with breakfast, then you go through lunch, then you have the dinner period, you have the full bar. Do you ever get a chance to sleep?
It's a handful.
Yeah.
We've got a couple cots in there that we kind of lay on.
Yeah.
No, I think for us it was important to have the full gamut. Our breakfast, there's not a lot of people that know about it. We haven't really pushed it out. Some of these things for the bistro, like signage, you're pointing out where we're located is important because we've got people that'll kind of drive around the plaza for a little bit looking for us.
Yeah.
We're lucky and fortunate to stay busy on a regular basis, even when we say we're going to slow down in the seasons and this stuff. We're just fortunate to be able to have that location. The signage itself, the same thing. We'll probably get to it eventually. We'll probably push the breakfast and those kind of things as we go into the spring. We've got some unique things we're going to bring out. It's going to be fun. But I also, at the same time, it's a step process for us. And you know what? You can drown yourself pretty quick, especially in this business. And I think that we're fortunate enough to stay as busy as we are that we don't have to do a whole lot of things right now. We'll do them in stages. So you'll see some different changes as we move forward. One of them is going to be, we're doing an expansion. And we've got some backing for it, and I think that the support for it, what it does for us is 2 things, really. It gives us a second bathroom, which is one of the negatives that we have in there. I mean, it's our build out, it's what we have. We have a single bathroom, unisex bathroom. Our expansion would allow us to have the second bathroom. give us a little bit more kitchen space because it's going to bring in probably a potential for about 40 more seats inside. I would say on an average weekly basis right now, again, fortunate enough that I hate to see it, but we turn away probably 50 to 60 people a week that can't get in the bistro. And when you look at those numbers in our business, we want to be able to set them down. We want to be able to service them. You know, I want everybody to have that experience and be able to come in when they want to and not have to try to get in and, oh, if I go to the bistro, can I get in? Some say it's a great problem to have. I say that I just assume them come in and enjoy the experience. So we're going to work on that. It's going to take us a little bit of time.
Yeah, that is kind of a double-edged thing where there's a lot of restaurants that would say, boy, I wish I was so busy I couldn't seat everybody. But you're right. If you've got that many people that want to partake, you want to make it available to them. Would expansion start anytime soon, or are you going to get through the summer season with what you have, or what are you thinking?
Right, that is the question that we're still kind of working on right now. We've taken some more space on the west side right now. We're using it for storage for the most part. It does give us the option to access, so you would be able to walk through one to the other, or just have the second one over there for more like a banquet or catering kind of thing. The build out itself, if everything goes well for us, you should see that side in whatever degree or angle we take it into probably sometime before summer.
Yeah, great. And I did send out the conversation research team, and they told me that if anybody gets in there for breakfast, just go for the corned beef hash, don't ask any questions.
Yeah, it's unique, just like everything at the bistro. It's going to be a twist to some degree, but it's just that corned beef, again, 12 hours, and then we do the potatoes separate, and then we put them together with a little bit of onion and some seasonings, and it's a different corned beef hash, but I'm a corned beef hash guy, and I think it's good. So
good. Full liquor license?
Full liquor license. One of the things that took us about 2 months to get, and that's just a state thing, and waiting in line like everybody else does. We are all about food. That's our thing. I mean, the liquor, the beer, the wine, it's a nice additive. We found that when we first opened up for the first 2 months, we were wondering if we could keep filling the seats based on the fact of we have some ticket times that can get up there based on fresh food made to order. But they kept coming, so we knew right then and there, again, the food is number one. But then when we got the liquor license, what it did for us is it allows people to come in and socialize and have a cocktail while they're waiting for their entree, their appetizers, or whatever they're waiting on. So it's a great benefit. There's no doubt about it. People like to have a drink every now and then, and we've got the ability to give them across the board anything they want.
And that gives you the chance to prepare that fresh food in the back, not just pull it out of the freezer.
Correct.
All right. What about, let's talk staffing for a minute. When that, yes, in the restaurant business especially, but people have a hard time finding quality staff. You got to hire them, you need to train them, and then most of all, you got to retain them.
Yeah.
What staff? How many people you have now? What are some of the highs and lows of the staffing?
We're sitting at the bistro right now. I think we employ upwards of a little over 35, 36 people, I think is where we're at for that overall. The crew, we call them the crew, it goes both ways. Without the crew that we have, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. It's a great group of people that kind of take ownership, and they're empowered to take that ownership and to enjoy themselves, and it's the home for them, or a home away from home kind of thing. But you're right. I mean, in this business, staffing is staffing, and in the kitchen or wherever it may be. I mean, you've got people that we actually are encouraged by the fact that some people have stepped up and they're going to move on to something bigger and better. We want that, and we support it 100%. Education, all that stuff, we work around that with a schedule. But keeping people in there, it's going to be a constant problem, and we'll always have that in this industry. If we can get them to where they actually full-time, this is my job, I pay my bills with it, and that's what we want, those people in there. So, and we've got about 20 to 25% of those right now, and we're going to increase that as we continue to grow. But we wish everybody well. Even if the bistro's not their thing, then move on to what you think is, and we'll just, there's a lot of people out there that are looking for work. So.
Who's doing the cooking?
Kim cooks.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she's in there every day still. We've got, we consider our head chef in there, Erica Gonzalez. She's been around the town and cooked in some different places, so she's got some experience there. And then we've got a couple people from the Culinary Institute over there too. Some just great people that can kind of offset Kim a little bit. She needs a break every now and then. But we're going to continue to grow that staff in there specifically. with the right people to be able to do it. But she's the cook.
How does a business like yours, because there is obviously the food part, then there's the front end and the meeting and the greeting and making sure the supplies are in on time, whatever. How about the bookkeeping? I reckon when you have that many employees, I mean, is that something that you do, or do you have a firm that kind of keeps track of your payroll?
The payroll is done with a company that we utilize. As far as the bookkeeping, we've got a CPA. And then as far as the ever day-to-day kind of stuff, we've got kind of a front-end manager, Jessica Bradley. She helps Kim, and then I dabble in it a little bit, but I don't want to get in their way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the paperwork and stuff is done by both of them. So it's a group effort across the board.
Who's been influential to you in your life?
I throw that out there with my father. I think a work ethic kind of thing. I without a doubt, and I'd say Kim's family, both her parents too, work ethics from the parents themselves. Influential for me, it's a military thing too. So it's great leaders, as I've seen throughout the years, and then there's poor ones, but the great ones you remember.
What about your restaurant is not only healthy as far as food goes, but eco-friendly, and we've got a couple of your products here. Give us an idea of
Sure.
What's on your mind with that.
Well, along with the quality of food and the level of ingredient, we also want to give back a different way. So even though the price point, again, for us, it goes up a little bit higher, we're pretty big on giving back. So you won't see styrofoam, you won't see plastics. We're about 80% eco-friendly. I shouldn't say you won't see plastic, because some things you just can't get away from yet, and they're not created. But for us, here's a perfect example of some of this stuff. I mean, we've got our to-go cups. Like these are made from plants. Our straws are made from roots. There's no plastic. You can't tell that when you're doing it. Most people think they're plastic, but we're paper, we're eco, recycled, things like that. It makes a difference to us. I mean, that's one of the things for us that when we started this, it's a full-bodied experience. When you walk in and you get greeted, and hopefully the atmosphere is as nice as they say it is, and then they get some great food, and then they know when they do this that they're giving back a little bit too by, taking these kind of products home with them, and they know they can throw them away. They break down a whole lot faster than some of the other things. So
that's
it's important to us.
What, if you got invited up to the Culinary Institute or SC4 and said, we want you to address people who want to open their own businesses someday. It might be restaurant, just they want to be their own owner. What kind of advice would you give to people who have never done it before, but now want to open their own business?
Well, first of all, I'd say, without a doubt, never give up on it. But then you've got to have some stuff in the closet and things that you've got to do for experience. You've got to have the research done on the business itself. Location is extremely important. You hear that in the industry. But then you've got to be willing, and this is one of the things I think that holds some people back, is taking the step and the risk. Me and Kim, we've taken those steps and those risks, and they seem to have paid off, luckily for us, to some degree. But you've got to be willing to do that, and that's the whole family. So it can't be a dream of one person and you're in a relationship or a family's involved. And so everybody's got to be on board. And then I say, if you did the research and you've got all that done, then it's worth the risk. Because at some point in your life, if you didn't, then you're going to look back and say, what if I would have did that, And I don't think we can ever, for what we've did so far in life, look back and say, boy, I wish we would have did that, because we kind of just do it. But there's a lot of background check and experience and research done ahead of time. So
now, when you and Kim go out, and even before you opened your own restaurant, you, by your own description, a foodie, hit a lot of establishments. When you go into some other restaurant, what kind of really puts you off, or kind of makes you crazy if you see things in certain restaurants?
I think the attentiveness of a staff, paying attention to the customer that's there spending hard-earned money. I also look, for us, again, we know food extremely well and where it comes from, and maybe a business that's kind of promoting something that's not what it is, charging a little bit more for it, and building up something that's not really there. And we can just tell whenever you get your dish or whatever you're going to eat, in not just the presentation, but in the quality of the food. Businesses that I think promote that, they're kind of I think taking advantage of the customer, but I think that what we're seeing nowadays is that a customer, you can't fool them.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting wise on food, and you know, you can just taste the difference. And to insult them by saying that I can get by with something that's lesser quality for a higher price, that's something I don't like. So,
how about the social media aspect of running a dining establishment? I imagine that there's pros and cons of that, but it seems like everybody's on their phone, or they're Yelping, or they're Facebooking, and how's that work for you guys?
It's a double-edged sword with it. You know, I think anybody that is in the business, and really any business, you can have some comments out there that can hurt you. We can only hope that, you know, anybody that reads a review can look at it and maybe look at other reviews and then kind of do that scale that way, or watch how somebody writes it and look at maybe some of their other critiques that they put out there. We've been extremely lucky in this business that it's a very small percentage in what it could be for us, but we think everybody's got a voice, and if you've got a problem, you know, you should be able to, you know, and that's one of the things about it. I mean, it can be a great thing, or it could be something that hurts you, or a negative thing, and we learn from those things too, and that's important. So if it's a valid, constructive criticism, then we'll address it and fix it. So.
What about giving our listeners at home, give us a 20-second commercial for, if you haven't stepped in to the Anchor Point Bistro yet, tell us why they should pop in and see you.
Well, I think the bistro itself is unique. I think that you'll find things in there that you probably couldn't get anywhere else. Well, I should say I know you won't get anywhere else unless you're in different parts of the world. I think it's a full-bodied experience. I think we want to set that for you. I think we want you to come in, the greeting, the atmosphere, from start to finish. I think it's unique. The mood itself, all of that is wrapped up into one. The bistro supports a lot of different things that I think make a difference, especially in our community and where we're at right now, and in the world, and you know, as far as the recycling and things like that. So you're supporting not just a local business and hopefully getting well worth your money's worth of experience, but you're also doing those kind of things. I mean, we support the Lido Foundation and the kids and the youth and the vets and first responders and eco and all that stuff, animals, the four-legged furry friends, we donate to that stuff from the bistro too. So all those things I think you would be part of, and you feel comfortable and happy that you joined the bistro to support those things. So.
Well, I hope our audience today has learned quite a bit about a new establishment in downtown St. Clair. You can, besides this airing on our local Channel 6, our website, watchctv.org, has all the conversation programs on it. And I think Mark has had a lot to share. And with Kim as co-owners, if you have not darkened the doorway at the Anchor Point Bistro, you need to do so soon. It's been our pleasure, on behalf of Paul Dingeman, myself, and Cable Channel 6, to have Mark Stevens as our guest today. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
You've been watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. If you have an idea for a future conversation, please contact us at www.watchctv.org. Thanks for watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey.